Tonight, a CTV News special presentation.
Everyday Edmontonians spoke loud and clear.
The events that shaped our city and our province.
Teachers want what students need.
The sounds.
Feeling amazing, let's go Oilers!
The sights.
It is so much fun just building Lego every day.
And the stories.
It was a lovely experience.
Let's go!
That left an impression.
Got it, I was like, this might be the greatest shot I've ever taken.
From the CTV Edmonton newsroom, this is 2025, a year in review.
Hello, I'm Jeff Hastings. This is a look back at some memorable stories from 2025. We love shining a light on what makes our communities unique and the people who help make Edmonton better. Our CTV Edmonton news team has spent the past year covering our city and our province, bringing you the news as it happens and the stories that matter to you. 2025 was a year marked by political change, a new prime minister, a federal election, elbows up, and a new mayor and city council. Labor issues made headlines this year. Earlier in 2025, thousands of education support staff at divisions across the province walked off the job. That included educational assistants who support students with complex needs. While that strike ended in March, the threat of an Alberta teacher strike loomed through the summer. The teachers rejected the fall contract offer. Then, in October, the largest strike in Alberta history.
We refuse to be back in this same fight 5 or 10 years from now. We're striking to break the cycle.
On the first day of what the ATA calls the largest job action in Alberta's history, President Jason Schilling says the province continues to disrespect the teaching profession.
I've had large classes in the 40s, and it is a struggle day and day in. And you leave the day at the end of the day feeling like you failed.
In a statement to CTV News, Finance Minister Nate Horner calls this a sad day for our province. He says the 2 failed votes tell the government union leadership is lost and has no idea what teachers want.
Teachers asked for a wage increase and more funding to address classroom sizes and complexity. The provincial government said it could not afford to meet these demands and invoked the notwithstanding clause to force teachers back to work.
Notwithstanding clause is part of our Constitution, and part of the reason why it's there is that sometimes there are a lot of different interests that have to be mediated.
Bill 2 imposes a 3-year contract on teachers, a deal virtually identical to the one about 90% of union members rejected multiple times before striking.
They've taken the nuclear option on something that they could have avoided. And Albertans will be forgiven for asking themselves, who's next?
The government is promising to hire 3,000 new teachers and 1,500 education aides over the next 3 years in the legislated agreement, along with a 12% raise. Premier Smith says it's a reasonable contract and is asking Albertans to judge for themselves.
And just give an honest assessment of whether they think it's fair. Most of the parents I talk to, they think it's fair. Many of the teachers who've contacted us, they think it's fair. And I think most of all, it's fair to the students who are the ones who are most impacted.
Bill 2 was one of 4 uses of the notwithstanding clause this year. Bill 9 invoked the Charter's notwithstanding clause to protect laws affecting transgender youth and adults from legal challenge. The UCP government introduced and passed a number of bills in 2025, changing the rules for municipalities, insurance, putting citizenship markers on licenses, and allowing doctors to work between the public and private health systems. There were also dueling citizen petitions. Former Deputy Premier Thomas Lukaszuk started the Forever Canadian petition asking people if they think Alberta should remain in Canada. His group successfully got enough signatures to move it forward. The separatist Alberta Prosperity Project question got referred to the courts, where a judge decided it was unconstitutional. The government then changed the rules so citizen initiatives can go ahead even if they may violate the Constitution. Alberta was also the focus as the country elected a new prime minister with Edmonton roots. In January, Mark Carney announced his Liberal leadership bid at a Laurier Heights rink where he played hockey growing up. He won in March and called an election for April, winning with a minority Liberal government. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre did not win his Ottawa riding. Attention then turned again to Alberta as the Battle River Crowfoot MP stepped down so Poilievre could run for a seat, which he won in August. We were also focused on cities and towns across Alberta holding municipal elections. Andrew Knack won nearly 40% of the vote to become Edmonton's new mayor. He was one of 13 candidates who entered that race. Our City Hall reporter Jeremy Thompson spent much of the year covering council and the election that seemed to last most of 2025. Jeremy, what stood out about the mayoral race to you?
Well, I think it really is just how the race came together as far as who was in it. You know, it really started to transform the race after former Mayor Amarjeet Sohi decided to run for the federal Liberals and pledged to not seek re-election as Edmonton's mayor, regardless of the outcome of that. And so that really allowed Sohi to kind of get out of the race. Until that point, Tim Cartmell, former councillor now, Tim Cartmell was really the front runner. But Sohi dropping out really opened up sort of a lane up the left side where we saw Andrew Knack kind of secure that niche. And he really just kind of rode that progressive-ish sort of lane to election day, and we saw how that turned out.
What were voters talking about the most? What issues were most prominent, do you think?
Well, I did features with all of the mayoral candidates on sort of the big topics that they were hearing about and that we thought they would be hearing about at the doors. Of course, affordability. Everything costs just so much these days. So affordability was the number one issue that we heard mayoral candidates talking about, councillor candidates as well. And then really just getting around. Construction was a big issue as well, specifically in the West End and the Southwest side as well. Just people finding that their commutes are taking longer. There seems to be a bunch of construction in the way, and so that was a major issue as well. And then, of course, the infill discussion, the infill housing. But interestingly enough, the infill issue seemed to be, you know, sort of a more localized issue for folks. Of course, the more infill happening in your neighborhood, the bigger an issue it is for you. So yeah, infill was an issue, but perhaps not as top of mind for a lot of voters, Edmontonians, as we might have thought. All
right, so a new mayor and council, new year right around the corner. What are you expecting to see in 2026? Yeah, it's a brand new council. It's an interesting road ahead here. We have a few new councillors, and you know, a lot of the councillors ran on this idea of sort of, you know, being more conservative with spending and sort of tightening city finances. And to that end, we just saw how difficult that can be with this most recent budget talks, where they did end up raising taxes by 6.9%, which was above where they started out, despite all these pledges to you know, really pinch pennies and trim tax increases. As I said, affordability really came up during this election. It's difficult. So they now are working towards a 4-year budget. That discussion will happen at the end of next year. And they have this whole new sort of process, this results-based budgeting or zero-based budgeting, where they really intend to take the city's budget down to the studs and build it from there. We'll see how many results actually come from that as far as cheaper taxes and cheaper cost of living for Edmontonians. All right, Jeremy, thank you. Alberta hit a population milestone this year. Statistics Canada models suggest more than 5 million people now call Alberta home, many coming from other provinces. But Alberta's not so welcoming when it comes to rats. In 2025, the province marked 75 years of being rat-free.
The journey ends here for rats looking to cross the Alberta-Saskatchewan border. For the past 75 years, the province's rat control program has kept the pesky pests at bay.
It's great to be part of a program that people are so proud of.
It's nice to say that we're one of the few jurisdictions without such a vermin.
Rats were first reported by the eastern border in 1950 and would have continued to spread west. Legislation, however, declared them a pest that year.
Every Albertan is required to control them if they have them on their property. It quickly became clear that they would cause a lot of damage to agriculture along the border there.
Under the Agricultural Pest Act, it's also illegal to import, sell, or own pet rats. The province launched a campaign to educate people.
Most people had never seen a rat up until that point.
Something that still remains true today.
Have you ever seen a rat in Alberta?
No, I can't say I have.
I haven't seen any.
I have not.
And they want to keep it that way. This is the closest some Edmontonians have been to rats in decades, when the Oilers faced the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Final. During the finals, Oilers fans dressed up as rat control, looking to uphold Alberta's rat-free reputation.
It just goes to show you how fascinated people are with the fact that we do not have rats.
Last year, there were 30 confirmed reports of rats in the province, a small issue compared to others.
One problem I think that's prevalent here in the Edmonton area, maybe it's most of Alberta, are the coyotes. I mean, I think that's maybe more so of a problem than the rats.
Still, the province encourages everyone to be aware. So if you do see a furry pest, don't be afraid to rat them out. Miriam Valdez-Carletti, CTV News, Edmonton.
Much more to come as we look back on 2025, including the fans that made us smile during the Oilers' second run for the Stanley Cup. '25 marked the second year in a row that Edmonton Oilers fans were left heartbroken after the Stanley Cup playoffs. After winning the Western Conference but losing Zach Hyman to injury, the team was unable to take the Florida Panthers down in a Stanley Cup rematch. But that didn't dampen the spirit of our city. Edmonton ended the season thankful to the team.
To see the number of people that were down here for every game, we home and away, it's inspiring to see that many people coming out.
Forget those daily conflicts for a while. We're all pulling for the team. We're all pulling in the same direction.
Many say the mood the playoffs made shouldn't be discounted just because of how it ended or the consequences of a lost mayoral bet.
I would have to unfortunately wear Panthers jersey once again.
Do you at the very least just get to take the old one out of storage?
Oh well, we put the old one into the museum yesterday, right? You know?
So there'll be two there.
Yeah.
Looking back, while the Oilers didn't make it all the way, people we spoke to say the playoffs have brought people together.
Like coming down here has just been like being like you're part of a family. Like these guys behind me, everyone, like you high five everyone, just jumping when we score. It's just amazing every time you come down here.
Leaving Edmontonians a little closer than they were before.
Perhaps no one got closer to the Edmonton Oilers than Paul Swanson and Chase Woodski. The local pair work for the NHL, capturing the team each game.
It's a fast-paced gig. Blink and you might miss it.
There are some times where I just miss the entire thing because, you know, they're too fast or they're too quick or Leon's passed the puck somewhere that I wasn't even expecting at all.
Swanson has captured some of the team's big milestones, like this shot, which was used as the graphic for McDavid's 1,000th point. He's caught candid moments like when Brett Kulak blew a kiss to his daughter, or this shot of Draisaitl during warm-ups that went viral.
That's been used by the NHL, by the Oilers, by Warrior Hockey.
Woodski says he surprises himself sometimes with what he captures from sitting up in the crowd.
I have the video of Draisaitl and Connor Bedard. As soon as I got it, I was like, this might be the greatest shot I've ever taken.
The two say they're lucky their office is the arena.
I'm grateful every day I get to do it. And
not only do I get to be part of all of these really cool experiences, but the fundamental thing is that it's so much fun.
Teaming up to score the perfect shot.
Fans came out of the woodwork to show their support for the team in a number of different ways. CTV News at 5 anchor Matt Woodman talked to one who turned tunes into tributes.
I kind of like to say that this is like my Oiler christening.
Adam Zuniga is a passionate, lifelong Oilers fan.
Drop me in the oil drop. From then on, it was history.
So when his favorite team found themselves down 2-0 against the LA Kings, he knew he had to act.
Everyone was kind of down in the dumps, thinking that it's over.
This song's to let you know it's gonna be okay.
And I dropped the Hey Nuge because I'm like, it's gonna be okay. I just felt confident. I knew this wasn't over.
Hey Nuge, don't be afraid. You were made to be an Oiler.
Oil Country was loving it.
This is our year to win Lord Stanley.
So his hockey hits started piling up.
Ain't nobody sluts like Leon. Boosh, 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 boosh. I push my from the blue.
Sometimes it just hit me in the shower, be singing a song, and I'm like, that could work with somebody's name here.
Once he has an idea, he uses his mantle as a tripod, finds the original tune online, and gets ready to rock.
When I'm watching Connor, I go out of my head.
I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough.
I don't sing. I hope everyone knows I don't sing. I don't think I'm a singer at all. The voice, no way. See you later. But moves, I could do. I could fight for myself on the dance floor.
Stand behind it, baby.
Booga booga, booga booga. Hey, heck, booga booga.
Bill Lane from Barhead began channeling bad luck on Oilers' opponents last year in the playoffs. Other fans seem to appreciate his efforts. Late in the second, the whole crowd got in on the cursing, taunting LA's goalie Darcy Kemper. Bill added his own brand of voodoo on the Vezina candidate to help the Oilers extend the lead.
I'm just a crazy fan, and I love the Oilers.
You might need an emotional support playoff chicken.
When Ashley Sinclair first started making these emotional support chickens, donning the blue and orange, she had no idea what kind of need there was amongst Oilers fans.
They're just there to give you something to hold on to while you're trying to make it through overtime without having a heart attack. And I tend to toss mine back and forth a lot, or just a little extra emotional support for what's been just a crazy roller coaster for fans.
Edmonton Senator Christopher Wells recently gifted her handmade chickens to a well-known Oilers fan, Prime Minister Mark Carney.
We had lots of fun with the chickens. I think you can see one photograph where he's throwing one up in the air, testing it out. Super impressed. He promised to take good care of the chickens.
It's not just hockey that Edmontonians enjoy. In 2025, we told stories about people embracing all kinds of sports. The Edmonton Riverhawks gained hundreds more fans as the team invited students from St. Bernadette's School out for a game. Teachers saying many had probably never been to the Ball Diamond. Skateboarders in the city were given a new park, the first one downtown. The city says it was a way to use some of the empty space. They enjoyed it and gave feedback on how it could be improved. And our reporter Evan Kenny brought us the story of a grade 9 student with a medical condition that makes it hard to participate in sports. She teamed up with her principal to thrive at archery.
Even just walking to school, and I live 5 minutes away, it's a lot of effort just because my legs aren't that strong.
I've had the opportunity to kind of see her go through for some of her challenges and how she's overcome things.
They've been a dynamic duo for the past 5 years, creating a special bond, even comparing themselves to cartoon characters SpongeBob and Patrick.
I'm Patrick.
Competing in archery comes with its own learning curve, let alone tag teaming it, but eventually they hit the bullseye, no shock to the people closest to Kaya.
She's such a thirst for life. She just wants to do things, and it's
and she's a go-getter. Nothing stops her.
Holding a bow and watching an arrow whiz by isn't typically in a principal's job description, but Les Worthington says he's happy to do it to make her feel like she belongs.
When you're building school culture, you want every kid to feel like they're a part of something.
In February, our David Owasik went to River Creek Casino to catch the biggest pool tournament in Western Canada.
There's pool halls all across the country, and then there's this. More than 2,000 single and team players from across Western Canada in one place. River Creek Casino this weekend.
What we have here is this Western Canadian Valley National 8-ball tournament. This is the biggest tournament in Canada.
It's a room that's swimming with sharks. Intimidation and presentation, big parts of the game. There's prize money and pressure, and of course, 8-ball corner pocket. But for most here, this weekend will be about something else. Just ask the guy from Calgary playing against the man from Manitoba.
It's better to have fun. The fun. Meeting people.
The biggest group isn't the hustlers or the masters or the nearly pros. It's the intermediates like John McDonald and Keith Shanakapo. That's the group that keeps pool halls and pubs and leagues alive and fills this competition.
Players love this. It's almost their nirvana.
Not all sports stories were about the sport. A viral video we posted on our YouTube channel became the most watched of the year.
Bang! Bang! Hey! You wanna go, guys?
A fight involving former NHL player Nick Tarnasky has received more than 10 million views. It happened at a golf course near Red Deer. The confrontation appeared to be over the pace of play. The man Tarnasky was fighting apologized. Tarnasky coaches minor hockey in Red Deer. The organization investigated but found no reason to take action. The golf course apology was the third most viewed story on ctvnewsedmonton.ca. Here's a look at the top 5 and the number of views each received. When we come back, we check in with Jasper and how the town is getting on 1 year later. Welcome back. 2025 started out on a sour note for many in Jasper. In 2024, a wildfire destroyed a third of the town. In January, CTV News learned that 250 housing units promised by the provincial government would not materialize. But people rallied, and while some had to move out of town, some were able to stay.
The interim housing units are expected to be here for at least 2 years, maybe as long as 5 in some cases, and it will take that sort of time frame to get everybody's house rebuilt.
Eventually, most of this land will become low-rise apartments. In the meantime, staff are working to find more temporary units. 600 households expressed interest in the housing. That's about 1,300 people. There's enough space now for roughly half of them.
There's still a significant number of households that we have not been able to accommodate that are looking for interim housing.
Town staff expect demand for the trailers will ebb and flow as people's needs change.
I have to put each kid clothes in the bin.
For Tiu and her family of 5, it's just too tight a squeeze. After 26 years, she's leaving Jasper, a painful decision to separate from a community that includes 2 sisters and longtime friends like Twyla Patterson.
When I first moved here, her and her family really took us in. And I'm sad to see her go.
I have no other options, but
I mean, you need to do what's best for your family.
For my family, yeah.
Those in charge admit it's an imperfect housing solution, but one they believe is necessary for the tourist town's recovery as it gears up for a critical summer season.
1 year out from that destructive wildfire, Jasper was trying to find its footing when it came to tourism. Visitors were coming back and some businesses were rebuilding.
Alpine Village Cabin Resort is rebuilding its legacy, one log cabin at a time. Last year's wildfire destroyed 25 of its 56 cabins and surrounding property.
There's been a lot of change. It was devastating to lose half of our property.
Co-owners Rena and Chris Allen say it's meant a 65% drop in their income. Why, 1 year later, they're overjoyed to open their doors to tourists again.
They've been bringing us chocolates and baking and flowers and everything, and we've had many, many hugs.
The property is fully booked, but because of their losses, they consider it half full.
A lot of people were quite sad, quite upset because they had lost their favorite cabin that they'd been returning to.
Tourists embracing the different but still picturesque landscape.
I visited here in 2010. A lot has changed, but it's great to be back here to see just how beautiful it is.
In terms of the views, it's still incredible. It's still amazing to be here, right?
Parks Canada says tourism in the national park was down 2% in May and June from last year. In May, there was 187,000 visitors, down from 194,000 last year. In June, there were 231,000 visitors, down from 240,000. April, however, actually had a boost in visitors compared to last year.
People are coming back. Town is busy, the park is busy, but there's always space for people to come and visit. We're actively inviting people to come and enjoy Jasper this summer.
For at least one business, a rebirth meant starting over in a completely new location. We first met Glenn and Wendy Leach after that wildfire in 2024.
It's still there. It's standing.
They thought their Patricia Street deli was saved, but it was destroyed. They used the opportunity to set up shop in Edmonton, closer to family, but serving some of the staples longtime customers were used to. It took more than a year, but in early December, they were able to open the doors to their new deli.
What people will remember when you come into our shop is how we're treated.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, added to that a little bonus is you get to have a really good sandwich.
Yeah.
And visit people.
Yeah, the experience that one has is just so important.
Part of the reason Glenn and Wendy could reopen was a crowdfunding effort. Members of their community chipped in to help them reach their goal. There were so many stories of people in our local communities coming together to help one another or make others' lives a little better. And that included one woman getting seniors out and about on a tricycle built for 3.
All right, come have a seat.
It's an early birthday gift for Lorene Wright. The St. Albert senior and her daughter are going for a scenic ride.
I'm just going to help you with your helmets and make sure they fit nice on you here.
The ride is made possible thanks to Martina Rue. She is the founder of Tricycle for 3.
I just try and get seniors out for rides, get them some fresh air, enjoy the nature.
The St. Albert woman rolled out the program 2 years ago.
Before my mom passed away, I just really had a hard time seeing how many people in her care unit never had company, never had visitors, and they never got out of their rooms.
From May to October, she offers free rides to seniors and their guests. She believes she's given out 200 rides to date.
It is super rewarding for me. It makes my heart is always full.
This was Wright's first ride.
Lovely sunny day, the sun coming through the trees, beautiful flowers. It was a lovely experience.
It's nice to get out and enjoy the St. Albert trails that we've grown up enjoying and having a good time doing it.
According to Stats Canada, a significant number of seniors are not spending enough time outdoors.
And I don't get the chance to walk around very much anymore because my mobility isn't as good as it used to be. So this really is an exceptionally wonderful thing for me to do.
Several studies show being out in nature provides emotional and physical benefits.
It stimulates their mind, it stimulates their connection with other people, but especially out in nature, because what happens is nature is like really healing. When people are out in nature, they feel calmer, they feel clearer, they feel more connected.
Rue says it's worth taking on the cost of the program herself.
I worry that they do get overlooked too often, and it just makes me feel full-hearted just that I can just do even just a little bit in our community.
I'm uplifted. I'm exuberant.
A stamp of approval from this rider.
There was also a former Air Force pilot who got back into the cockpit 70 years on. It was thanks to a man who owns the same plane that the pilot once flew.
How do you feel?
Excited, just nervous, happy.
Ready for takeoff.
He still remembers the power settings that he would use for takeoff, climb, cruise, aerobatics.
Taking a try at the control wheel in the air, DeHolke is transported back to his 20s, grateful for a chance to relive his past.
Brock, I am so thankful I can't even express it.
A smooth ride all around, with only one regret.
I didn't want to do a loop. I should have tried one, but I'm chicken.
When we return, a closer look at one of the stories that sparked a series about rentals in our city. Stay with us. In 2025, we took a closer look at rental issues in our city. Our Nicole Weisberg researched the rights of tenants and landlords and found a system that not everybody was aware of. Her stories included one of a family who rented out a home that was left destroyed.
My dad and all the neighbors building it.
It's a house the Prince family built and owned nearly 50 years. With their kids grown and their winters spent in the U.S., 5 years ago, Eleanor Prince and her husband decided to sell. They listed the Beaver County property privately and were asked if they'd consider a rent-to-own agreement.
So these people came along with $17,000 and said, okay, we're serious. We want to rent this. And we want to buy it. We will buy it by April the 1st.
She said the couple had kids, were kind, and seemed trustworthy. She says they asked for the contact of their last landlord, but the family had a seemingly valid excuse for not providing it.
They seemed so nice. You know, first of all, she comes to the house and she said, you know, I had a dream about this blue house. And because this was blue. And she told me all this sentimental stuff.
Feeling confident, they came to an agreement where a portion of the rent would go to a down payment. Prince and her husband traveled back to Phoenix. About a year later, she said the tenants began falling behind on their payments. Prince's adult children then decided to check up on the home.
These floors are covered in dog poop.
Besides stepping in poop when you came in, the smell would hit you. And it was like a mixture between the dog poo that was all over the floor and cat. And it was just horrible.
When we heard about all the damages they'd done, so that just broke our hearts. My husband especially, because he put so much effort into this house.
So that's all horse poop in the driveway.
McGale returned with eviction notices she taped on all the doors. She says the tenants were given 14 days to leave, and they left in 20.
They took all the shower heads, they took the kitchen faucet, they took all the appliances except for the fridge, they took the hot water tank, they took light fixtures, like took light bulbs. The light fixtures in the front of the house, like the entry lights, they took those. They took everything that they could take.
She says before the renters, the property was appraised at around $585,000. And afterwards, a realtor said it was worth $200,000 less. The family decided to eat the costs of the damages and items taken to avoid further headache.
That happens a lot. Sometimes the cost of chasing it far exceeds what it's worth.
Donna Monkhouse from the Alberta Residential Landlord Association says while it may seem futile, landlords can go to the Residential Tenancy Dispute Resolution Service for help. The quasi-judicial service settles disputes between landlords and tenants, which can include awarding damages. Another option.
The best thing to do is file in court, so there's a file. So it would get put on Equifax, make sure it gets on Equifax and the credit bureau, so that if they go to buy a house or they go to buy a car, that pops up.
I'll tell you, I won't rent a broom out. I'll give it to somebody, but I won't rent anything ever again.
Prince wishes she'd done more homework on the tenants. The silver lining is her daughter and husband decided to buy the property, clean it, gut it, renovate it, and live there.
It was sad. Yeah. My grandparents lived here. My dad built it. Like, it's just... So now it's the way it's supposed to be. My parents are living here, we're living here, my kids, my grandkids, like we're all here. And now it's better.
All right, Nicole Weisberg is out. Nicole, what made you want to look into these types of issues?
Well, Jeff, we've seen a lot of people move to our city in recent years, and that's meant investors and new companies have gotten more involved in our rental market. Some are buying buildings and raising rent or charging fees, and tenants don't know if they're following the rules. And in some cases, the landlords haven't been.
And what are some of the rules that people may not know about?
Well, if you're new to Alberta, you may not know that we don't have rent control or rent caps. The majority of provinces do. Landlords here are limited in that they can only increase your rent once a year. They can also charge fees for pets or parking, for example, but those fees must reflect the actual cost of those things, like damages caused by a pet.
And what can renters or landlords do if they feel the other party isn't abiding by the legislation?
Well, they can file a claim with the Residential Tenancy Dispute Resolution Service, which is much more affordable and efficient than going through the courts to settle disputes.
All right, and what's next for a closer look?
Well, Jeff, right now I am looking at some of the issues with healthcare in Canada and in Alberta, with legislative changes opening up more opportunities for privatization. So you can keep an eye out for this.
All right, Nicole, thank you.
Thanks.
Despite some deep freezes here in December, it was, on the whole, another warmer and drier than average year. Only December and February coming in colder than average, so 10 months hotter than average, and 6 of those months were between 3 and 6 degrees above the long-term average highs. We also had 6 months with below average precipitation. 5 months had average precipitation. Only March was wetter than normal, which may come as a bit of a surprise to some of you who remember a soggy summer. On the whole, it was drier than average this past summer, but the weekends were wet. Look at that. From mid-June to mid-August, we had 10 consecutive weekends with rain, and on half of those, it rained on both days of the weekend. All right, let's talk heat. Edmonton had 14 30-degree days this past year, 3 in May, 3 in July, 8 in August. The long-term average is for just 4 days of 30-degree heat, but we've had more than 10 30-degree days in 4 of the past 5 years now. No 30-degree days in September, but we did set a record for the most 20-degree days in the month of September. 24 hit 20 degrees or hotter, and that beats the record of 20 days from 2022. September also had a pair of record highs. We finished 2025 with 7 new record highs, including 4 straight records at the end of August. And that is 2025. A look back at the weather.
When we return, a musical interlude, the stories that brought out local talent. Local pianist Emilio De Mercado had the chance to play Carnegie Hall this past May. De Mercado was in talks for the performance for about a year. He told CTV he was nervous and excited, but that you have to treat every performance the same regardless of where you do it. That rule also holds true for a group of local men who use a downtown gazebo as their stage. Our Sasha Petramala brought us a story about the choir and a sense of belonging through song.
For Lloyd Willett, the Edmonton Downtown Choir isn't just a space to sing.
When it sounds like this and I'm part of it, I feel sort of like I did something important.
Willett has been singing with the men's choir for 10 years.
They know my foibles and my ups and downs, you know, they're my friends.
The men's choir got its start in 2012 thanks to Eva Bostrand.
I'm me and I'm the conductor and they are the singers and we have a good time together. I like bantering with the guys a bit.
Won't you show me that you really...
She created the group to give vulnerable men a place to belong.
We want to be available for people who otherwise do not have a chance to be in a choir.
We started out as a bunch of ragtag, throw together downtown leftovers who just sort of came together.
The 60s song Downtown is their signature song.
There's nothing better than singing in front of an audience that really needs to hear some cheerful music.
They got very, very beautiful voices, especially all combined together. It just sounds so awesome together.
And getting to perform outside makes it even more special.
It's always special when we're here in the park. You know, we've got an audience. We always have people wandering by, looking at us and stuff.
Things will be great when you're downtown.
For Willett, being able to provide a bit of joy for strangers is what fulfills him these days.
Hope. Because the best things in life, they say, are free. And I think the most successful people in the world want to give back and do the right thing. That's why I sing.
That support through song took a different turn in Thorsby. Our Connor Hogg went to a hotel where karaoke is king.
People have come from all over Alberta to visit the Thorsby Hotel. Not to stay, but to sing.
Honestly, it's actually one of the best things I've ever done.
This is a preliminary round of the KWC Global Music Contest, a karaoke competition. The winner will get a chance to sing on a global stage. But for most competing here, a trip to the next round of qualifiers isn't the real prize.
It's kind of a release of endorphins. For personally myself, I like to bottle them up and try not to let my emotions show too much, and then music I can express them a bit more.
Taking to the stage brings out another side of each contestant.
It's helped me discover things about myself that I didn't even know were there.
When I first started, when I was all bottled up and not really singing that loud, now I belt songs a bit much easier, and I get a little less nervous.
With validation and support coming from fellow performers.
It helps you, it almost energizes you in that sense, so you can deliver a better performance.
I've been opened up to a whole new community of people that like to sing, and that's cool. That's really cool.
While there are winners selected, the real prize is the connections being made. A group of friends always ready to welcome one more, and helping each other raise their voice.
Sometimes music doesn't have to be complicated, like the St. Albert seniors who hope to get a call from the Oilers during the playoffs. The The seniors at Everett Gardens were hoping to give the LA Harmonica Group a run for their money. They never did get the call, but they were happy they got to show their spirit. Still ahead, the unique building blocks that bring our city together. Stay with us. Welcome back. Many Edmontonians are known for their can-do attitudes when it comes to volunteering or helping out people in need. It turns out that also applies to construction. This year, we met several people who use interesting materials to build masterpieces.
Matt Intihar and Sheila Guevara are spending some quality time relaxing together. The couple often spends their time in a more unique way by making gingerbread houses.
Both of us inspired each other in doing a project because he's good at what I am not.
The pair was in a local bake shop when they saw a gingerbread castle built by the baker.
We thought, geez, that would be pretty neat if we could build something like that. I don't know if we're up to it, but we could give it a try.
Their first house was simple, so they decided to go bigger. At first, they planned to build a replica of the White House. They ultimately selected the Alberta legislature as their subject, close to home and easier to research in person.
As time went on, we thought, hey, we can do this or we could add that on, and so slowly it became a bit more detailed as time went on.
Intihar and Guevara worked on their ginger ledge together and separately when their shift work schedules didn't allow for time together.
He come home, I'm sleeping, or I come home, he's sleeping. But I see, when I come home, I see something that he did. I'm like, oh, cool, I can do this.
After 6 months of gingerbread and marzipan, plus painstaking research, baking, sculpting, and resculpting, this is the result.
We managed to finish it, and we're pretty happy with how it looks. I mean, like I say, we're not professional bakers or anything.
I could have not done it by myself.
I'd rather put a shim in there, honestly.
We could do that.
It's all hands on deck as Garner and Kelsey Beggs deck out this gingerbread house.
We are under a real tight deadline here. We have hours left to finish it, so it's going to be a non-stop slog from now until its unveiling.
Every couple of years, Duchess Bake Shop creates an elaborate gingerbread house. This year's theme?
Grand Budapest Hotel. So one of my favorite Wes Anderson films.
This is the hotel in the movie, and this is the Duchess version so far. It's made up of more than 90 kilograms of gingerbread, approximately 30 kilograms of melted sugar, and a whole lot of royal icing.
Hundreds of hours go into the creation of it.
In previous years, Duchess recreated Hogwarts from Harry Potter, the castle from Frozen, and the Milan Cathedral.
It just makes me happy. I don't know, to me, gingerbread is synonymous with the season.
What started off as a project to keep him busy has turned into a passion.
Our daughter brought me the first kit as a Christmas present. I thought, good grief. Yeah, I was not too impressed with it at the start, but once I got into it, I really enjoyed it.
Warren recreates landmarks using small matchstick-sized wood pieces. His projects include the Tower Bridge in London, India's Taj Mahal, and the Notre Dame Cathedral of Paris, a special project in honor of his granddaughter who died of complications of cystic fibrosis.
When she passed away, she left me with the instructions that I should finish it for her. So I was very, very proud to be able to do that.
Not all are famous landmarks.
This was the dairy barn, and there's the silo over there.
This is a replica of their family farm in New Sarepta with one important detail.
Our son came here one day and saw it and said, well, where's Mum? Because Mum always cut the grass. So then I had to go and make a little tractor and put her on it.
This is my Lego room.
The first time we met Lego YouTuber Jordan Forsythe, better known as Brixie, it was 2021. Since then, his Lego city and collection have outgrown his basement.
This is like, man, what are we going to do? We can't continue growing at this pace. We need to either get a bigger space or downsize our collection. And we decided to get a bigger space.
Welcome to the new Brickmanton.
I definitely won't be growing out of this place.
Brickmanton spans 75 square meters, includes millions of pieces and countless minifigs.
I don't know what the population is. Lost count a long time ago.
He and his wife started building Lego 10 years ago with a Star Wars set. Since then, their collection has grown to roughly 1,500 sets.
It snowballed pretty quickly, and as soon as we bought our first modular building, I knew that one day I would be building a Lego city.
He never imagined Brickmanton would take over an entire studio. There's a downtown core, a beach, harbor, and train yard, a campground, zoo, and an amusement park.
Going a little fast.
And as many details inside as there are out.
So all the buildings have an interior, and you can pop the floors apart, take the roofs off.
He's managed to turn his passion into a paycheck. His YouTube channel took off in 2020, allowing him and his wife to quit their jobs and focus on Lego full time. It's a closed studio, but you can see everything online.
I'm currently working on some massive mountains which will go in the center of the city.
He finds building therapeutic, although it can become repetitive, layering brick after brick. But there's always something different to work on, which keeps it fresh.
It is so much fun just building Lego every day and making videos about it.
Like much of the world, even Brickmanton isn't immune to American tariffs. Lego, a Danish company, is no longer shipping certain pieces to North America. Brixie says for the most part, the pieces he needs are still available.
They still have what they call the best sellers available to Canadians, and that's mainly what we use within our city. But for sure, they definitely took a lot of the pieces away off their website.
So Brixie keeps building, and Brickmanton keeps growing.
That's all for us tonight. I hope you enjoyed this look back at some of the stories that made our 2025. Remember, you can always watch our stories at ctvnewsedmonton.ca or on our CTV Edmonton YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.